Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the basics of splicing. We'll cover the tools you need, the different types of ropes, and the different types of splices you can do. There'll be subsequent videos on the specific splicing techniques. Let's start off with the tools. Okay. You're going to need some electrical tape, a Sharpie, a sharp knife, and those are probably the standard tools that you have around your home. Now you'll also need some specific splicing tools. I've got here what's called a push fid. This is used to feed two ropes through each other. They come in different sizes depending on the size of rope that you're working with. Usually you can buy a whole set of these with 5 or so different fids. You're also going to need a pull fid. This is for pulling ropes through one another. It looks something like this, but this is actually a simple tool to make on your own. I've got one that I've made here just by putting a loop of thin wire around a cork. And you'll also need a sailmaker's needle. This is just a very heavy-duty sewing needle, and some whipping twine. Most of the equipment you can buy at any sailing store. Now let's go over the different types of ropes that we can work with. This rope is made of a material called Dyneema. There are similar competitive materials called Spectra and Vectran, but they're all more or less the same. This is a braided material, as you can see here. The main advantages of Dyneema are that it's very strong. It's stronger than steel for the same diameter. It's also very lightweight, and it's abrasion resistant. The downsides to it, though, are that it can be very slippery. So this is good in certain areas where you want to reduce friction on surfaces that are rubbing, but it doesn't work very well in cleats. So often what we'll have is something like this, where we've got a polyester cover, and then inside of that cover we've got a Dyneema core. So this rope has the strength of Dyneema, but we use the polyester cover within the cleats. Now the other type of rope that you might encounter is one like this. This is a polyester braided cover, and then inside we actually have a twisted polyester line. Okay, so you can see this one is not braided on the inside, it's twisted. Okay, this one you can't splice. So we are only going to focus on Dyneema lines and double braided lines with Dyneema cores. Now let's take a look at some of the different types of things you can do when you're splicing. Now, one of the most common ones to do is a loop splice, and this will replace a knot. There's a few reasons you would use a loop splice rather than a knot. First is strength. When you tie a knot, the rope loses about 50% of its breaking strength. However, when you splice, the rope will only lose about 10% of its strength. Now, the second reason to do a splice is because it will never come undone, unlike a knot. So this reduces the point of failure in your system, which might end up costing you a race or some positions in a race. So if you have all of your lines spliced, you have much less likelihood of breaking down. The other advantage to using a splice line is that it's very clean. It looks nice, but also you're not going to have it get caught anywhere, and you're also going to have straight force. Okay, if you are attaching to something like this, to one of these Harkin soft attach shackles, it's very important to use a splice loop here, because that will prevent a sideways force through the shackle, which might cause it to break. You can do a loop splice around something fixed like this, but you can also splice a loop and do what's called a luggage tag. So if we want to attach this loop to this cleat, what we can do is feed the loop through, and then feed the other end through and attach like this. Now this still has the strength of a splice, and it still won't come undone, but it has the flexibility of a knot where we can add it and remove it at any time we like. Now, the second type of splice that we are going to look at is called a taper. And what we have here, this gray line is the outer core of a double braid Dyneema line. Black is the inner Dyneema core of the line. And what I've done here is I've reversed the two. So I've taken the gray line and tucked it inside of the black line. The reason to do this is because you want to keep the strength of the black line when you make your splice, and also it's very difficult to do any sort of splice with the polyester cover because it's a much tighter braid, you'll see, than the Dyneema. This is a braid that's much easier to manipulate and work with. So we'll always splice on Dyneema, and when we have a double braid, we'll do something like this, where we taper into the Dyneema part, and then we'll do a loop splice with the Dyneema part of the line. The next type of splice that we're going to learn about is an end-to-end splice. This is used to join two different ropes together or both ends of the same rope together. In this example, we've made a single loop for attaching a shackle. Now, using this kind of splice is much cleaner than tying a knot here, and it also is free running, so it can slip around and it has no ends that will catch. And the final thing we're going to learn is how to whip the end of a rope. You're going to use this for a Dyneema core rope. If you have a polyester braid with a polyester core, you can just melt the ends of that to clean it up. However, Dyneema doesn't melt, so you need to whip the end of the line to stop the core from moving around within the cover. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Sailing Explained.